Don't let fear steal your joy. Like I said earlier, you don't have to be qualified. You just have to be called. You're not selling a product. You're selling your mission. You're selling your why.
Today's guests are Mandy St, Germaine and Pam Revit, two powerhouse women helping others lead with purpose and live beyond perfection. From motherhood and military life to faith and personal growth, they guide women to rise, heal, and walk boldly in their calling.
We finally placed our first order. We were so excited about it. They were lost by FedEx. FedEx refused to give us information for 2 weeks. It was gone. And one day, I got a call from our warehouse in Houston, and they were like, guess what? They were delivered. Things are messy and things are hard, and you want to give up. And just know that that is normal, and just keep pushing forward and don't give up on yourself, because you are capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for.
Hey everyone out there, my name is Alan, CEO of FreeCashflow.io, and welcome to Profit Powerhouse, the podcast where we sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs to uncover the secret behind their success. We're here to learn what drives their growth, the challenges they overcome, and how they master their finances. Our goal? To help you achieve the same success while maximizing your profit. Let's dive in. Today's guests are not only powerhouse entrepreneurs and inspiring women, but also the heart and soul behind a movement that's redefining what it means to be strong, confident, and authentic in every season of life. First up, we have Mandy St. Germaine, a business owner, entrepreneur, and devoted mom and stepmom of 4, and a military spouse who knows what it means to adapt, rebuild, and thrive. She's a co-founder of MBS, the Women Beyond the Cape, an athleisure brand that's so much more than clothing. It's a bold movement encouraging women to embrace their strength through faith and self-care. Mandy's also the voice behind the empowering podcast, Finding My Best Self, where she helps women reclaim their power and purpose with every episode. Joining her is the incredible Pam and Revit, a faith-driven empowerment speaker, podcast host, and the visionary founder of MBS, the Women Beyond the Cape. Pam's story is one of resilience and radical transformation, rising from addiction and trauma to become a beacon of hope and healing for women everywhere. Her mission? To help women shred the cape of professionalism and fear and step fully into the bold, faith-fueled life they were created for. Together, these two women are leading a revolution, not just in fashion, but in faith, identity, and unapologetic confidence. So get ready for a powerful, soul-stirring conversation with a dynamic duo behind the Women Beyond the Cape, Mandy and Pam. Guys, welcome to your show.
Hi, thanks for that intro.
I know. Thank you so much. That it was like I almost got teary-eyed listening to it. That's amazing.
Oh, great. I'm glad. I put a little bit of work behind this. I'm glad I did a good job. Yeah.
Yes.
Guys, this is the first time we ever had two guests at once during the shows. I'm very excited about this. So individually, Mandy, Pam, would you guys share a little bit more about your background, what inspired you to start your business, please?
Yeah. Mandy, you can go first.
Well, I honestly, I'm gonna let you go first, Pam, because I know that
Okay.
just with MBS was starting everything, and I kind of tapped
Play
in
rock, paper,
afterwards.
scissors.
So yeah,
Okay, well, so MBS was never really a plan. I did not come from an entrepreneur background. I honestly never even had a dream of opening a business. This was something
Wow.
that, going back to, like you said in my intro, I had a time in my life where things were just kind of chaotic. If I go back to this was probably roughly 2010, 11, 12 when I was married, and I just kind of found myself at a place in my life where I was a mom, I was a mortgage advisor, I was a wife, I was, a sister, all
So
the
many
things.
duties.
But right, and there was just a moment when I was like, "Who am I?" I felt very lost in all of my other roles and responsibilities, and it was around that time in about 2014, 15 when Mandy was coaching Beachbody, and I was just like, "Hey, like, what's this about? Like, I need to start working out. Like, show me the ropes." And so we did that together for a little while, and then we parted ways. I ended up getting a divorce and was just trying to find me. And I, at some point, got remarried, and um, things took a different road for me. What ended up being me trying to find myself turned into me drinking quite a lot, to the point where, for years, I am what I would consider at that time, I was an alcoholic. It was a problem. And there was in 2000. 21-ish was when I was like, okay, this is not okay, and I need to do something about it. And so at some point, I slowly cut back on drinking, but there was just a time when I felt that there was something more, and I didn't know what it was, and I was struggling a lot. And at that time, I had a really good friend of mine who was just like, "Pam, you should pray about it." And although I've always been introduced into the Christian religion, I was never really in church. I didn't pray a whole lot, and I was like, "Okay." So I did. I started praying. And at that point, at sometime within the year, I ended up with this vision that
Good.
I was driving one day and it was like an out of body experience where I had this very vivid vision of creating this brand of these, with an athleisure brand. And I saw all these very vivid things. And part of my vision was Mandy. And it was very strange to
Oh,
me because I was like, I don't really know her. Mandy and I were Facebook acquaintances. We had some
oh,
mutual friends way many, many years ago, but we never really hung out. I didn't know her. She didn't even live here at the time. She was traveling with her husband who was in the military. And I was just like, okay, God, like this is really strange. You want me to ask this person that I don't know to be a business partner with me, and I don't even know how to start a business. What do I even do? And so I sat with it for a couple weeks, and then I eventually had a conversation with my husband and was like, this sounds really crazy, but I really feel that I need to do this. I feel that I need to just use my journey and my story to be able to inspire and empower other women. And so I did. I literally woke up one day and was like, okay, I'm doing this. What do I do? And I literally Google searched how to start a business because I was completely clueless. And so I ended up purchasing a book called 12 Months to $1 Million by Ryan Daniel Moran. And at that point, I also joined into his mastermind called the 1%. And I literally learned how to build a business with that. I will forever dedicate everything, the start of MBS, to him and his brand because they literally taught me everything I needed to know on how to start. And, a couple months into it, I reached out to Mandy and I was like, "Hey, are you coming down for Christmas or anything? Like, can we chat?" And she told me after the fact, she was like, "I thought it was kinda weird," but I was like, "Okay." And so we met at a Starbucks one day in December, late December for Christmas, and she told me where she was in life, which was odd because it was very similar to my journey that I had been on. And so, at the end of the 2-hour conversation, I was like, "Can I tell you why I really brought you here?" And so I told her and and a few days later, she told me yes, and that was kinda it from there.
wow. Oh, that is so insanely inspiring, right? The way they all come together, the vision and how Mandy fit into that and how she was in the right place, right time for you guys to connect, right? So Mandy, this is a perfect segue for how you get involved here.
Yeah, I mean, I had like I said, years before me and Pam had worked together through Beachbody and just knowing similar people, but it really came at a time when my husband was about to transition out of the army, so I was trying to figure out what life was gonna look like outside of the military and moving back into our home state, and so whenever she reached out to me, I had already, in my own time frame, kind of gone through this transformation of also feeling like something was missing. I had kind of done the motivation, kinda inspirational things before, but never to the level that I felt that I was being called to. So, whenever we sat down, I tell her I was secretly hoping that she wanted me to be a part of it in some way because I had been following her journey since she had started and, sharing on social media, but never to the extent of what she ultimately asked. And so, of course, I went home, talked to my husband, prayed on it, and it just aligned with everything that I was looking for in my life and wanting to do for other women that were in similar situations as us. So, it has just been the piece that was missing for both of us, and we are really hoping to kind of shed light on different it's like we said, it's not just clothing, it's definitely all encompassing with women putting on their many roles and capes and being able to take that off and to be, who their best self is. So, it's definitely been a blessing for us to do this together.
Wow, what an inspiring journey, right? To get to where you are, you guys today, right? And how you guys connected through just being Facebook friends to being true business partners now, right? I think our audience out there will love to know about them early days, right? They love hearing that part about entrepreneur stories. Like, yes, you guys are super successful now, but what were the struggles early on? Can you guys tell us some of the maybe funny stories or, some of the struggles along the way to get to where you are?
Yeah. So I'll share this
Okay.
one specifically because this was before Mandy, before I asked her to come on board. One of the things that I guess I really wasn't prepared for, I wasn't prepared for anything really. I didn't know what to expect. But one of the first things that I did was trying to source a manufacturer and where exactly I was going to get these pieces from.
Yes.
So I actually hired a sourcing agency because again, I was clueless. I'm like, I need help. That is one thing if I can give to start with a piece of advice is do the things that you know that you can do and the things that you are clueless, ask for help. Ask for help, find help. So I hired a sourcing agency and started getting these samples from these different companies. And there were some that were awful. And they were awful, awful.
How
And
awful?
oh, it was they they were special. I told Mandy, I said, I could have gone to Walmart and picked up better pieces
Okay.
than what I got in. And it was so crazy because I was told, I had heard and done research that there were, certain places that were going to have these great quality and that's the thing is although our pieces have so much more meaning behind them, right? It's not just about the clothes. It is about the quality too, right? This quality
Oh,
first,
of
more
course.
before anything, because we have Mandy and I are very, very picky and what exactly we want when it comes to quality, right? So I knew I wanted this really high quality stuff. And some of those pieces that I got, they were comical. They were so awful. My husband and my kids, we all got some really good laughs out of some. I actually still have them because my husband's like, "What are you gonna do with that?" And he's like, Throw it away." I'm like, "No way! I have to keep that." That's like great memories later down the road. One of the first
Yeah,
pieces samples
memorabilia.
that I ever got in, they were awful. Um, and then I think one of the next things that happened, was Mandy can speak to this as well. Once we found our manufacturer and which they are phenomenal. The pieces are everything and more than we ever dreamed that they were going to be. And we finally placed our first order. We were so excited about it. We had actually set up pre-order, so people were allowed to pre-order.
Ah,
We knew how long it was
very
gonna take
smart.
for them to come in. We were all set. We were ready to go. And everything ships. We have the FedEx tracking number and they're getting delivered and they don't.
Oh,
They were lost by
uh,
FedEx. Our
it
manufacturer had to call FedEx. We had to call FedEx. FedEx refused to give us information. And basically, it boiled down to it was just gone. They had no idea where our 12 containers was it 12, Mandy, or was it 16? It
It was
was a lot.
covered, yes, it was a
oh,
lot.
that must have been devastating.
Inventory was just lost in thin air.
12 containers of clothing? That's a
Yeah.
lot.
For 2 weeks, it was gone. And one day, I got a call from our warehouse in Houston, and they were like, "Guess what? They were delivered, all but 2."
Oh, okay.
And then
That's
a
pretty
few
good.
days later, the other 2 randomly showed up. So, expect the unexpected, and we learned that literally from the very start. So, every time that we've ordered new inventory since then, we're always holding our breath and sitting on pins and needles like, "Please, FedEx,
Please,
don't
please,
lose the
fingers
package
crossed.
again." And it's hard, right? Because there's no answers and no one would talk to us, and we just kept trying to call and get answers, and it was it was it was a struggle. It's hard.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, shipping and
scary.
logistics, one of the hardest thing e-commerce companies have to deal with, right? Because
Mhm.
especially with overseas
Yeah.
shipping, it's unpredictable, right? And it takes so long, honestly, especially if we're doing it over by sea, right?
Yeah.
So I don't definitely understand that. Man, Mandy, did you want to share a story? Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
It kinda goes back to even the warehouse, like, even, interviewing, I mean, there had to be over a dozen to try and find because we had to make that decision too. Are we gonna try, ship this out of our homes? Because I was just moving back to town and, our homes are not set up to have the storage facility type situation. So, it came down to logistics on we need to hire a warehouse to store everything and to ship. And so that interview process also, I mean, we kind of learned as we went. They were using terminology that we weren't necessarily accustomed to. So, we get off the call with our notes and we're like, okay, let's Google what does this mean or what are they trying to tell us? Because we wanted to try and learn as much as we could because you don't want to be put in those situations where you don't know what you're talking about, but and then setting yourself up for the things that you know you want. And so for us, the manufacturer, the sourcer, the warehouse, like all of those things we wanted to be very strategic with because, where we're going to have our stuff, we wanted shipping to be quick, but then also cost effective. And so that was another experience that we kind of had to go through the frogs to find the prince and get the one that we have just loved. And they have been great to us since then. So that was definitely another learning curve we had to handle.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for inspiring entrepreneurs out there, right? Really just expect the unexpected and really give yourself that little gap in time in case something does go wrong, right? Just dive in one layer deeper there. Did you guys have to message out to, your early followers or fans at that time that say, hey, sorry, I know we promised that we're going to deliver on this date, but they disappear. What can we do? Right? Did,
Yeah.
did that had to happen also to make your case? And
We did, but it wasn't very long because we had already added in a buffer as well. When we were
there
giving
we
a
go.
guarantee, like we'll be shipping these items by this date, we knew that they would be coming in roughly around a certain time, but we even pushed that out another 2 weeks on our own just to make, or it was another week or 2. So we had a little bit of time. So when we did have to email at that point and say, "Hey, we're so sorry. This is what happened." We were very honest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
Hmm.
and that's the thing. It's just be honest. Don't try to hide behind it. Honesty is it's best virtue. So we let them know, and it was within a couple of days that we were actually able to start shipping items. So that's another piece of advice is give yourself an additional buffer. Don't say, "Oh, they're gonna come in on the 15th. We'll start sending on the 16th." Don't do that. Give yourself some extra time because at the end of the day, if you do ship them earlier than what you promised, then you are the best brand ever, right?
Yeah, open communication is always great, right? So you guys didn't
Yes.
have to go through that mistake of losing your customers' trust, right at the
Mhm.
beginning, because it's hard to gain it back, right, once you
Yep.
lose it,
Right.
as you guys probably know.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's amazing. So now I'd love to touch on the marketing side of things. It's very important for e-commerce brand to thrive. Is what kind of marketing strategy they use early on, or even through their journey, to propel their sales and their follow count. Anything you like to share in that realm, like what marketing efforts you guys just tried out, maybe didn't work, and what's working today?
But you can see us both smiling, because we wanna
Yeah, it
laugh
sound it
so
sounds like you guys
bad.
have great stories about how you guys did. I saw you guys have a great Instagram follower account, so you must have done something right. So let's hear it.
So the marketing side has been an entire journey in itself, and
Of course.
we can tell you that marketing and social media is an entire job in itself. That was one of those things that we very early on thought, in the early stages that we did not want to handle. We wanted to immediately hire someone to take over that for us. And I think our biggest learning, and we didn't necessarily realize it at the time, we realize it now, later down the road, why this did not work out for us at that time. The marketing company that we hired, we don't want to say that they didn't do a good job. They did a good job with what we gave them. Because at that point in time, we did not even have a very clear idea of what we wanted our marketing to look like, what our brand voice truly was. And so they ran with what we gave them. And when they were putting things out, we were like, "We really don't like this. We really don't like this."
Uh,
And they're like, "Well, that's what you told us." And we're like, "Well, we know, but we don't like it." So it was a learning. So at some point, we had ended up letting them go, and then we took over, and we started doing what, again, we thought that we liked at the time, and then we ended up hiring someone else, and it was the same thing where at first we kinda liked what she was doing, and then we were just like, "It's just still not right." But it truly wasn't really her. There were some other things, of course, between both the companies that, maybe little quirks or little things that we just didn't like the way that they handled certain situations, but at the end of the day, what they were putting out was based on what we were telling them at the time.
Mhm.
So, when it comes to social media, I guess our advice there would be to have a true idea of what you want that to look like. Study other people's social media accounts that have products similar to yours or that you kind of like what they're doing so you can truly have an idea of what you want that to look like on your platform. What do you want your messaging to be? How do you want those captions to look? What is your brand voice and how they should be putting that out there? And even just the content that you're creating for them to put out there is what you're creating truly what you want before you take the step of actually going hire someone. We now do all of our social media and all of our marketing ourselves for the most part. We recently did hire an ads manager who's running ads for us, but at this point, Mandy and I have a really, really, really good idea of our brand marketing, our messaging, how everything is to look. And so that was part of where we came into hiring an ads manager. Is we said we're ready. We weren't ready when we started with the first company at the beginning of 23, right? 23? Yes. We weren't ready at that time. So just take the time to learn it and to know it before you set out to hire someone because they're only going to do with what you give them. And I know Mandy can probably share some more on that too.
Right, and I think a lot of it too is not only did we have to get clearer on what we wanted it to look and sound like, but also being more authentic and kind of meeting people where they were at. Because, like, a big thing that we pride ourselves on is getting feedback from our customers. We want to hear, what they're looking for, what's their pain points, what are things that they're struggling with, because, we do talk about other things outside of just the clothing. And so being able to we were kinda struggling with that because we were setting the content out, but it wasn't getting that, like, engagement community aspect that we were looking for, and so we had to really kind of see how we were gonna tie everything together with the messaging and the branding, and so once we were able to it's like, "Okay, let's stop, let's regroup," because, obviously, it's not you, it's us. We were trying to figure out what we really wanted it to look like, and so like Pam said, we are at that point now where we can really hone in on that. And so it does take some kind of soul searching, digging, because not everyone knows what you're thinking or feeling for your brand unless you get that clear message out. And so, really, just taking the time to research and study that and to know, and then you can kind of execute those social media marketing and have all the tools there.
No
Yeah.
one knows the brand better than the founders, right? You
Mhm.
guys know are the true voice behind the mission, so you guys know exactly what's going on. Have you guys tried TikTok? Have you guys done anything on TikTok? And done anything like that where you do just make like little short clips, trends? Maybe try to TikTok shop as a revenue source.
That's another
Another
story.
laugh.
That's
Yes.
another story in itself. So we do have a TikTok, and we pretty much just share that some of the things that we post on Instagram that we
Right.
feel
Yeah.
or TikTok
Like
friendly.
repurpose it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We more so, Mandy and I use TikTok for our personal branding more like within MBS, but on the personal side, we do a little bit more there. But we did try TikTok Shop for a little while, a very short while. And I will say this for anyone who is interested in TikTok Shop, I will not bash it because I do know that there are so many brands that do very, very well on TikTok Shop. But what I will tell you is to be prepared. TikTok Shop is not very user friendly when it comes to brands. It was a very, very strenuous, long, and difficult process to even get our brand on there. And it does not fully link up to if you're using Shopify or certain platforms that you're using where you have your store, it doesn't fully link to that. You still have to go in and put descriptions and things for every single product. So it was a very long, tedious process. And then once we finally got everything moving, there were a lot of fees, and I don't necessarily wanna say hidden fees because I'm sure they were disclosed somewhere, but there was a lot of fees that we were not aware of. So and then we were also working with some affiliates through TikTok or influencers, I should say, through TikTok Shop as well, and, it just wasn't for us, and I know that TikTok Shop could be really, really great for some brands, but for for us, it wasn't for us. It just wasn't. So we ended up pulling out of it.
No, I was just saying it's good that you gave it a little good old college try, right? If it's not the platform that really helps express your voice and what kind of marketing direction you want to go with, right? You give up that channel and really refocus on what works, right, for you guys.
Yeah. Well, you don't know until you try, right?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
know until you
exactly.
try.
Yeah, for sure. So, Pan and Mandy, let's call this next little question. It's gonna be a multi-part question, but let's call it myth buster, right? Being a women-driven business, being maybe mom-led, those things are categorically things that people are gonna have more skepticism around, right? It's like, hey, can that really be successful? And then, and added with that, you guys are more what I would call mission-driven, right? You have your faith-based, mission-driven business. There's a lot of questions when business start in those kind of roots and values is that can they be a profitable business, right? Can they be business that can attract, investor interest, right? Can you touch upon those little points of what do you think and how do you guys balance, your personal and the work side of having a business such as this?
Yeah. I'll Mandy, you can go first on that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that that's kinda where we were at the beginning. That was the vision all along, and we kind of were a little hesitant at first, so we scaled back our initial thoughts of what you see now. We definitely started and, we always use the affirmations on the clothing, so each piece has its own affirmation, and we were trying to drive, taking care of yourself, speaking these things over yourself every day. As moms, as women, we're kind of targeting the moms that are in the messy middle, like we're being dragged in 10 different directions,
Yes.
and, we just wanted you to stop and give time to yourself. But as more time went on and we realized, once again, going back to that messaging, that we were missing that piece that we knew from the beginning. And so we kind of had to sit down and have a conversation and say, okay, we preach these things and we want it to look and sound like this, but are we ready to kind of put ourselves in that box? And we definitely obviously have done that. And I think it's outside of perception that this is what we truly believe and feel. And this is the audience that we want to attract because, that's the whole thing with a brand is that authenticity and connecting on that level. And it's not just clothing and being able to really, meet the women where they're at and speak to them in this season of life or any season of life that they're in and know that they're not alone. And so it's definitely from an investment standpoint, I'm sure that that probably does, kind of break it down a little bit smaller, but at the same time, we're staying true to who we are and what we believe, and that we know that when that time comes, that those right people will be coming into our life for that reason.
Great
Mhm.
point. Great. Pam, do you want to add to that?
I was just gonna say, I think that anyone can take an idea and turn it into something and create something of it. But feeding off of what Mandy said is that you have to stay true and authentic to you and what you are doing and your mission and your vision for your brand. There's so much noise out there. There's so many other brands. The market is so competitive in so many areas, but you have to figure out and stay true to your why exactly you started it to begin with. What is your purpose for doing this? And you have to express that and talk about it. It is the emotion and the feeling and the purpose behind what you're doing. That is what is going to sell. You're not selling a product. You're selling your mission. You're selling your why. And we can truly speak to this and say that is, a our following, our customers, our community has told us this over and over and over again is, we love MBS. We love the athleisure. We don't wear anything else since we started purchasing your clothes. But why we really love you isn't the clothes, it's what y'all are doing. And that's really where it's at. Because even if we talk in terms of going back to marketing and social media, that is what people want and what they crave and what they desire in this world that we're in of all of this AI and robotic stuff. Everything seems so fake and they just want realness. They want to know truly that they can be part of your brand and that you're real and that you're honest and you're authentic through your brand. And if you can do that, you can take anything in any competitive market and do so much better than another brand who is just trying to sell a product. Just stay true to you, figure out your why. You don't have to be qualified, you just have to be called.
Wow. Yeah, figure out the why. That's very powerful. Yeah, so speaking of AI, as you know, it's been taking over our world for the last 2 years, right? How do you feel AI can kind of play a part in all of this, right? What I mean is, a lot of women, well, really just entrepreneurs in general, are struggling with the feel that it's so much work starting a business. Do I really have time to it? I'm handling kids. I'm trying to balance my 9 to 5. I have all this other stuff going on. When do I have time to dedicate to starting a business that I believe in? Right. But then they look at AI, it's like AI is simplifying things. Right. But like you said, it may be oversimplifying things where if everything becomes kind of generalized and not a true unique voice, right, in the marketplace anymore. How do you feel like is the had how what and do you feel like there's a balance between using AI in today's business?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll speak because you asked a few questions in that. So as far as a woman starting a business, Mandy and I both have full-time jobs. I am a full-time mortgage advisor, which is a super demanding job. I work from home and I have, that I do that, 5, 7 days a week. Mandy is also a school teacher, so she, and not a school teacher, she's the teacher's teacher.
Yeah.
Anyway, but she has a full-time job is what I'm trying to say. So we both women need to know that they are capable. They are capable of so much more than they give themselves credit for. I mean, again, we wear all the capes, right? And so I'm gonna go down my whole little spiel with this because this is really where it's at for us and part of our brand and where my heart is at is that women are capable of so much more than they give themselves credit for. We wear all the hats. We're the moms, the wife, the
Absolutely.
cleaning lady, we're the grocery getter, we're all the things, and we still can hold the full-time jobs, and yes, you can still start a brand too, because that's just what we do. We know how to make the time, we will find the time if it means doing it on your lunch break, if it means getting up a couple hours early or staying, up late after the kids are in bed, whatever you have to do, you're gonna make it work. If it's something that you're truly passionate about and that you truly feel called to do, you will make it work, and that's just it, is it's the when the passion is there and the heart is there for it, there's no question of when is their time. It just you will make room for that. In terms of I will never ever knock AI because we use it all the time, right? But AI is a starting point. AI is that thing that you use to help you give you those ideas, to maybe help you, if you type something up on your own and you ask AI, help me to spruce it up a bit, or vice versa, help me to start it off, and then you take it and make it your own. It's a tool to use to, yes, speed things up in a sense or to just help you because at the end of the day, we do have a lot going on. We have a lot on our mind. And sometimes there's times of the month where my creative brain is just on and I can just do all these things myself and type them out. And I'm like, this sounds great. I don't need AI. And then there's other days where your creative brain is just not there and you just need a little bit of help. And that's okay. That is part of what this AI stuff is all about, right? But you can't take away the authenticity behind it. So you still need to keep your true voice in it. And that's where that comes into the whole and just editing it and making it your own.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we've also used it just for certain things in the business that have come up. And if we're unsure of certain situations or want to make sure that we're, putting things out that need to be put out correctly, we'll kind of ask it for different advice or information and then tweak it to fit our business, our tone, our voice. But it's been a huge tool as far as keeping kind of a record of all the things we have going on. Obviously, we have made different folders or projects and, we use ChatGPT, we've used Claude, we've used, what's the other one? The Pam, you
I
might
don't
DeepSeek?
remember.
know.
We've used so
I know.
many.
So we have tried to, because obviously you wanna, keep it as authentic as possible because we do not just wanna copy paste. That's just to me, we're losing that aspect of our business if we do that, but like Pam says, utilizing as a tool to kind of, outline the things that we need to do. I mean, we can go down to, asking it for certain content strategy ideas or
Mhm.
calendar updates or just different things like that. And so it gives us that starting point in order to be more efficient.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it is at a point, it's pretty advanced. I remember I was calling a company up to talk to customer service, and I swear I was talking to a real person named Luis. It was not. At the end, they told me it was AI generated, but I
Wow.
got the job
Mhm.
done. I got my refund, right? That's what matters, the result, right? At the end of the
Yep.
day. So yeah, looking ahead, I want to talk about kind of the financial and tax aspect of your business. As we know from a perspective of only an accounting firm, it is very important to get that side right, right? To ensure you have a long-term thriving business. So, Pam, Mandy, how do you guys manage the financial side of your business?
As far as managing, we pretty much do everything. We do have a local bank here that we've done some things with, but we also use QuickBooks for a lot too with our CPA. That has been the way that it integrates very well, and it just makes things super, super smooth and easy when it comes to tax reporting and just keeping track of expenses and funds and, exactly where everything is going, as well as our storefront. There's tons of analytics on there to help to make sure that we know, where funds are going and what our revenue is and things like that.
Mandy, do you have one to add to that?
That's pretty much what we're doing. I think at this point, just trying to stay on top of just inflows and outflows and making sure that we're tracking all of that because, things are happening so quickly that between the two of us, we're just trying to balance off of each other and make sure that we're hitting all the things to continue to show growth. And the good thing about the analytics is an easy way to kind of track that progress. And so even when things might feel like it's like tugging along, we can look back and still see how much growth we've had and just being able to make the right choices financially moving forward with the business and the vision that we do have for it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Any kind of cool write-offs, right? Tax deductions that you guys have gained knowledge of over the year that's like, oh wow, this is something I wish I knew from the beginning, but I'm utilizing it now, right? To help make sure that I'm not overpaying on my tax bill.
There was a couple of things that our CPA pointed out to us this year that we weren't necessarily aware of.
Ooh.
And it came down to, and look, and I'm not a CPA, so I'll probably say it wrong if I
No,
even try to say
not
it.
at
But
all.
so I'll just say it like this because there are some instances, especially in the very beginning,
Mhm.
where we were self-funding,
Mhm.
and it wasn't, anything from the business, especially in the beginning because it was, we didn't have anything from the business. It was very new. So there are things when it comes to self-funding, and certain types of write-offs in the way that that can still be incorporated into the business, even though it was self-funded. So those are the kind of questions to ask and to keep track of is whatever you're taking or spending out of your own personal funds can still possibly be written off from a business aspect.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. You don't want to miss out on any deduction possible for your business, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
That's part of the education part of it, right? If you don't know, you refile and report it, then you just have to end up paying more taxes, and that's not something you want to do as business
Yeah.
owners,
Right.
especially as you make more and more growth in your
Yeah.
side.
And
What
having a CPA was number 1. Like, that was one thing. If there is anything in a business that we will like, unless you are a CPA and that is your job title and you know how to do that, that I will tell someone all day long, don't try to handle your finances by yourself. Like, hire someone who is educated in that and can help you in that area.
For the record, I did not pay Pam to say that, but really appreciate you mentioning that
No,
that
no,
right
no,
there.
like, no, you
No, I'm
do,
just
like,
kidding.
I don't ever, ever, ever try to handle your finances on listen, that's coming from me as a mortgage advisor, as a mortgage lender who helps people, purchase homes, and I see people's tax returns and things like that on the personal side and the business side. Let someone help you with your taxes, especially your business taxes, because that is business taxes is a whole different beast than your personal taxes. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's about as authentic testimonies as we can. So, well, one last question for you guys. Is there any kind of important financial metrics, right? Because you guys seem to have a great grasp on your books on that side that you guys keep track of, like on the daily. It's like, hey, this is the holy grail, the north star that we're like, this needs to move in the right direction to know that our business is growing and and things are looking good, right? Or if investors come knocking, I can show them these kind of metrics that we're keeping track of.
I think honestly, it's just setting those goals for yourself. We try and have, daily or 6-month goals, yearly goals. That way, whenever we do have those conversations, we at least know what we're looking at or what we're working towards. And so being able to track that, obviously, Shopify has great analytics in that sense too. So it's just a report that you can run, but really staying on top of it and trying to at least set those smart goals for the timeframes that we're looking at.
No, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah,
Pam,
the
just
the
want to add to
goal
that?
setting is most important because it's always trying to prepare yourself for what's in the future. Not necessarily what we see today, but what are we planning to do or expecting to do, hoping to do in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, next year, and just really trying to evaluate like what we need to do in order to get to that point. Are we ordering more
Mhm.
inventory? Are we pushing more sales? Are we needing to possibly look at more influencers? Are we pushing more on ads? Like where exactly it is that we need to allocate more funds in order to set those goals.
Mhm.
Yeah, makes sense. Always be looking ahead, right? And then
Yes.
speaking of ahead, what's kind of next for you and your business? Any exciting roadmaps, product launches, plans in horizon?
So right now, I think we are specifically going to be looking at adding more collections for sure. Um, we're probably going to be making some shifts with the podcast, and we are also doing some things locally here on a local level.
Oh, okay.
Um,
In Louisiana?
Obviously, just with who can, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to figure out how we can do this more so on a national level, but doing like our own local little Bible study group. But we do have a lot of plans for MBS. We do not want to be just a full-blown athleisure brand. That is not our goal. We let everyone know that we have several plans of eventually launching many other products, everything in that mind, body, spirit aspect. So there's so many things that we've talked about, and it's hard to say today, right? These are the things that we're going to do because there was a lot of things we thought we were going to do that we never did because we are truly um, we move in whatever it is that we feel God is calling us to do in the direction. So we have ideas, but if that's not how it works, then we just pivot and we just move in whatever direction we feel God is calling us to go. So we have ideas of other things. We've talked about affirmation cards and journals and protein powders and all these different things. But the one thing that we do know, um, is that our big goal, what we say is our 5-year goal is to host women's retreats.
Oh,
And that is, our ultimate goal of MBS. That is the big part that we are working towards and building that community. And that's a lot of the whole community building that we're trying to do is just really building that community within MBS with the women because that is our ultimate goal.
that's incredible. And I'm sure it'll be very much in demand when you guys finally do release that women's retreat out there to the world.
Thank you.
So we're
Yeah.
looking very much looking forward to that. And then to lead with that, one of the final things that we ask on this podcast is what we call final advice, right? If you can give one piece of advice to someone just starting the entrepreneur journey, and I'm sure we kind of know what your target audience might be in this case of those listening out there, what would that be? It can be one, two, or three simple steps to get started, something to get them off the couch, not just listening to this podcast that we're on, right? And to go out there and start that business of their dreams. I'll let you guys think about it for a few seconds. Whoever want to share first, go ahead.
Mandy, you want to go
Yeah,
first?
I'll go first. I honestly, just thinking back to how this all began for me, if I wouldn't have trusted my gut and trusted my instinct and the calling that I did feel, that you just have to go for it. I think a lot of times we step into our own way and we overanalyze and overthink things. When in reality, these are the things that are opening, the doors are opening, and you know deep in your heart that this is something that you need to be doing, whether it's a pain point that you're hitting for someone like you or you're sharing your story with anyone and they connect to it. It's about building that connection and that authenticity and knowing that even if it's a product or a service, that that is something that can help someone else and you are the problem solver for that, whether it be a brand or just your own mission in life. And so I think that the number one thing is definitely following your instinct and your gut. But then, like Pam said, reaching out, finding resources, connecting with like minded people, getting in a mastermind or getting in a group that can really help you kind of build your vision and mission that you have set on your heart. And so and just taking the time for yourself and knowing that because like we talked about, like that passion builds and it's really hard to what people say balance everything. But at the same time, you do still have to take that time to make sure that you're staying in alignment, that it's becoming what you hoped for and not just kind of falling into, well, this is what this brand's doing or this is what this brand's doing. Is really trying to stay true to who you are and connect with that audience because as small as you can be, 100 people can change your life. 50 people can change your life because if you connect with them, that's all you need. It doesn't matter what you're selling or doing, that if they make that connection with you, then they're going to follow you through that journey.
It's incredible.
Yep. So I want to speak to this on two parts. I want to speak to this from to the woman who is afraid to start, who is doesn't has not done anything but has this feeling that they want to do something else, but they're just scared. Um, don't let fear steal your joy. Like I said earlier, you don't have to be qualified, you just have to be called. And that's what changed everything for me going into this is because of my past. There were so many things that I disqualified myself. Like Mandy said, like we get in our own way. And I just, your past does not define you. It does not say who you are or what you are capable of. And so God isn't asking for perfection. He's just asking for obedience. So as long as you are obedient in that and whatever it is that you're feeling called to do, it's just having faith and everything will follow through. We had so many breakthroughs with MBS. If, you just have to choose to do things, when you're scared. It's okay to not be perfect. Um, Nothing always is going to make sense in the beginning, but if you have the vision, that's all you need is that you move with that vision in sight. I also want to speak to the woman who's started and things are messy and things are hard and you want to give up. And just know that that is normal. That's a normal feeling that every entrepreneur goes through. And I'll say what Mandy said again is reach out, find someone else, whether it's listening to another podcast, of other entrepreneurs, whether it's, getting into groups, whatever that may be, because those are the people who are going to remind you of that. Do not expect when you're doing this that anyone that you are close with, that you love, your friends, even maybe your family are going to support you because they may not. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, what I had to learn is that those people, my husband, my children, my mom, my dad, my best friends, all of these people who are out here watching, they don't see the vision that I do. And they never will. Maybe one day they're going to see and they're going to say, I knew all along that you were gonna do this. They don't see the vision that you have, so don't put expectation on receiving that support from them because they can't see what you do. So you have to find those people, find your crowd, find the ones that get it, who have that passion and that vision to be able to help you and to support you and lift you up in those moments of feeling like I just need to give up because you don't just keep trying. This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon and things take time. It takes work, it takes dedication, it takes trial and error. Some days are going to be great and some days you're going to fall flat on your face and that's okay. It ebbs and flows and just keep pushing forward and don't give up on yourself because you are capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for.
Wow. I mean, wow, right? Truly, Pam and Mandy, that was such an inspiring segment of the show right there. Thank you so much for enlightening us with all the journey and all the steps you guys been through, right, to get to where you are today, right? There's so much out there, and I hope they're listening very carefully to every word you guys are saying, right? To how you guys have made it this far, right? So many quotable things, right? Don't let fear steal your joy. Listen to your heart, right? It's okay to not be perfect, right? Don't listen to the doubters out there. There's so many of them. Listen to that positive light in your heart that's guiding you towards the right direction. Absolutely incredible. Yes, I hope there's a lot of women listeners out there who feel inspired right now by what were just spoken and taking that next step, right, in their own journey, right? And I'm sure Pam, Mandy, you'd be happy if they start reaching out to you guys, saying that how inspired they were by your words, right, for advice. But um, at the end, to back to the topic of the podcast because I felt very inspired in that moment. Mandy and Pam, I know there's a great giveaway you guys want to give to our audience listening out there. Do one of you want to share what that is?
Yeah, so we are going to offer 15% off of your entire purchase. Anyone who uses the code Powerhouse15 on our website, you will receive 15% off your purchase. We would love for you to give us a try. Try out MBS and see what you think of the athleisure, not just the quality, but how it makes you feel when you put them on, just knowing that you can not just speak affirmations over yourself, but physically wear them and put them on your body and carry them with you throughout every day.
Yes, very, very inspiring at the end and very generous. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for being on this podcast. It's been an incredible episode. There was so much great advice shared, and I hope it can be reshared over and over again. And we hope to see you again, right? And maybe next year when you have other exciting plans or product maps you want to share with our audience out here, we welcome you back on the podcast.
We would love
Thanks.
that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Mandy, Pam, thank you so much for being on Beyond Powerhouse. We love having you on here.
Thank you.